He was the original sponsor of the Time Out for Schools Act, meant to allow parents time off from work to attend necessary meetings and functions at their child's school without the fear of losing their jobs. The idea for the bill actually came after Bruce paid a visit to A. Philip Randolph Elementary School. A 10-year-old contacted his representative about sponsoring the bill, and the idea then became a project for the entire school. When it was first introduced, the bill passed the House, but not the Senate. An expanded version known as the Parent Protection Act, House Bill number 311, is a part of the 2012 key Georgia legislative issues. This legislator has been recognized and honored with service awards from the Council on Aging, the Atlanta Police Department, and WSB.
I'm going to carry her with me everywhere I go. She made me sound pretty good. But I really do appreciate the opportunity to come, and I want to thank my colleagues that are up here with me for taking time out. I know their schedules are busy, and but they all felt, when I asked them to come, and I told them who the audience was, all of them felt like this was more important than anything else they had to do today. So that's why they're here. The reality is, a number of people ask, well, why are you having a town hall meeting at 10 o'clock in the morning about schools with primarily seniors? And let's just put it in perspective. All of you were in school at one time. All of you have children or grandchildren that have been in school at one time and maybe in school right now. All of you pay taxes, and that tax money goes to the schools. And all of you vote. I know everybody in this room is registered to vote. Yes. Am I right? Yes. Okay. And it's important that when you go to vote that you know what the issues are and what you're voting about. And this particular piece of legislation, what I'm going to do is kind of let everybody introduce themselves, and they'll tell you where they're from. And then they're going to just talk to you briefly about how they see this particular piece of legislation impacting you and impacting our city and our state. And quite frankly, I think there are people who are looking at this across the country to see how this turns out here in Georgia. So how you vote is going to determine how schools operate, how local control operates, and whether or not we're going to be able to keep the quality and create a better quality of schools in our state.
We thank Representative Bruce and the impressive panelists that I'm sitting with, because all of them...
I have to be elected every 2 years. And as the leader, I have to be elected by 63 members of my caucus. But none of you get to decide if I get to be House Minority Leader. And yet this commission that they are setting up will have 7 members. 3 appointed by the governor, 2 appointed by the Speaker of the House, who none of you vote for. I barely get to vote for him. And then 2 who were appointed by the President of the Senate. So if you happen to not be represented by the majority party at the time, you have almost no say over who the Speaker is and the 2 appointees that he gets, or who the President of the Senate is and the 2 appointees he gets. The only person you can influence is the governor, who gets 3 appointees, but if we're doing our math, the majority is appointed by people who are not elected directly by the people. So you have an unelected board appointed by an unelected group who are responsible to, the only people who can overrule them is the State Board of Education. And how many of you get to vote on the State Board of Education? None of us. So you have 3 degrees of separation before anybody has to listen to a word you say. So you can call your superintendents in Douglas County, in Fulton County, DeKalb County, you can call down in Talbot County, Meriwether County, and none of them have the ability to change the decision. So you have no local control, you have no local say with the creation of it. The third problem is the cost. This is going to cost, according to the person we did elect, the state board of the school superintendent for the state of Georgia, he estimates this cost to be $430 million over 5 years. $430 million. Now, we have cut billions from education over the last 10 years. And in fact, a couple of weeks ago, there was an argument about making those cuts permanent. Permanent cuts. This bill will allow these special charter schools, not all charter schools, not regular traditional public schools, but special charter schools, to get more money from the state education budget than any other type of school almost. That means that you are paying for a school you can't say anything about, can't send your children to, and can't get rid of if you don't like it. It is the moral equivalent of someone coming to your house, adding on an addition, and saying, I'm going to add the price to your mortgage, but you can't come in, you can't send anybody in, and if you don't like it, well, too bad. As a state legislator, I don't understand how that is good for education, how that's good for democracy, and how that's good for the children of Georgia. And so I will very strongly be opposed to this bill.
This is not about educating the children. I am not against charter schools. I used to operate a charter school. So I'm not against charter schools. I am against this piece of legislation which takes the authority away from you and puts it in the hands of individuals that you don't have any say about who they are. That's the difference. That's what I think everybody is saying, is that we support making sure that our children have the best education possible and that they have alternatives and choices and different ways to do it. But that needs to be a local decision, that needs to be your decision, and that's what we are all talking about. This is not about education, it's about who gets to spend the money and who gets to put it in their pocket. That's what this is